throwing in sex to the mix, which is the big thing that people want to know about in terms of interracial relationships.
Like everyone's going like this right now, edge of their seat. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, and I'm kind of excited about today's topic because it's one of those topics that you guys have been asking for and I suspect are really curious about. So what is it?
So today we're going to be talking about basically intimacy as an interabled couple, or I should say intimacy as an interabled married couple, because for us, we are Christians, and one thing that we did was wait to have sex until we actually did get married. So we're kind of going to split this video up into two parts: intimacy as an interabled couple before marriage, so without sex.
You keep saying the S word. Yes.
Am I not allowed to?
Yeah, you can. It's a good thing.
It's
a gift from God.
It's a gift. And then intimacy as an interabled couple after marriage. Just to kind of like preface this, we really want this channel to be about educating, just like normalizing, talking about different issues that interabled couples may encounter. Because I know for me, before I was about to get married, this would have been a topic or a video that I would have found really useful. But at the same time, we really do believe in the sanctity of marriage and sex within marriage. So because of that, like if you're here for like the raunchy details, you ain't gonna get
You're the wrong website. You're the wrong website.
Stop it. Get some help.
There's websites for that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's some stuff that's definitely going to stay private, but this is going to be an informative video anyway, just kind of talking about our journey, in terms of intimacy before marriage and after marriage. So stay tuned if you're in for that. If you're after some more raunchy material, no.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, for me, this would have been also a really good video to have before we got married.
Yeah.
Because, I guess just to have that reference or that perspective from another interabled couple, another interabled husband and wife would have been really cool, because obviously marriage is a journey that I'm doing for the first time as well. So
yeah,
I know there's going to be a lot of value shared and a lot of people that will be helped by this today.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess to start it off with, in terms of intimacy before marriage,
yeah,
I think a big thing I can say for me was communication, because I had a lot of questions. Like, I had never been with anyone like Winston before, but one thing that really helped me was actually something that Winston did, which was just he created a space where nothing was an awkward question, nothing was an uncomfortable question. We just got to speak, basically. I could ask all of the questions that I kind of had really candidly, and I think that's something that really kind of helped us.
Yeah, and just kind of thinking, even just relating it back to when we first started dating, and I think maybe the slightly interesting dynamic is we used to be friends before.
Yeah.
So like we were practically like best friends. So I'd hung out with Mayfair, so many times, socially, very platonically, like, just going out, for meals and for coffees and for that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, fast forward a few months later, and now we're in this, romantic relationship. Yeah. So I think even if you take away the nuance of this being interabled, that's already quite a big transition, right? And I think that's why that communication was really helpful, for both of us, just to build up a chemistry romantically, because what we had before was a friendship chemistry.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I would say, again, that was a big thing, like before marriage, that we had to build up, because like Winston said, we were friends before, and I honestly, like, I can't speak to any other person. I think every relationship is different, but I think when you have friendship as your foundation, you create a really strong foundation, because we just got to know each other without any pressure to be anything or try and impress the other. But then there's maybe the added thing of if it wasn't kind of like that, sexual attraction, like I'm attracted to Winston, and he was attracted to me, but that wasn't really what our relationship was kind of based off of. So for a lot of your friendship, all of those feelings are kind of suppressed, right? You don't have to think about it. But then when we made the decision to kind of, you know, explore the relationship aspect, a big element was actually building a relationship between one another's bodies. And that might sound kind of strange, but it is a big thing in terms of intimacy, especially, you know, for married couples, but even before, is building that intimacy with each other's bodies. Because we didn't have a relationship with each other in that way, so we didn't have to think about it. So it would just be little things like introducing like touch, even like non-sexual touch in ways that like I may not otherwise have. I think someone commented that someone commented that they think Winston's love language is physical touch, but that's just little stuff that we kind of do that we wouldn't have if we were friends, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think a big part of it was kind of building that relationship with each other's bodies.
Yeah, you know, maybe a funny story, but I think one of the first dates that we ever went on, I remember after the date, and we're still in this phase of kind of building physical intimacy. And yeah, I guess, you know, the chair, you know, the dynamic of me being in the chair was, you know, I guess unique, you know, for Mayfair. And so one thing that I think we both found was a good idea, I think I suggested it, was for you to just sit on my lap, like just get used to not just me, but also this thing that I use to move around all the time, because I find that can be, the chair is really useful, you know, for me, because that is my mobility. But for someone, you know, I guess for an able-bodied person, or for someone who's not used to being around people in wheelchairs, it can create a bit of a barrier as well. And so, you know, just for you to kind of like be, oh, okay, like this is, it's not such a big deal. I feel like a small step, but hopefully it really helped you to be comfortable as well.
That is a really good point. And I think, kind of like making it really specific to interabled couples, that is a thing, like especially if your partner is a wheelchair user, it's like a key part, like Winston said, of like him kind of moving around, like it's something that he uses like maybe 80% of the time. So I think it is like kind of figuring out that dynamic and how you can have intimacy even with that. And we have been able to do that kind of, again, just through communication. Things like holding hands, like when we're kind of like walking, is different obviously to if you're walking with someone who's on the same level, but I think we make an effort and we ask each other like, what do you want, what's comfortable for you. And another thing that really helped us pre-marriage was premarital counselling. Highly recommend this to any couple who is I think we started premarital counselling before we even got engaged.
Yeah, it was way before. It was a few months before we even thought about getting engaged. So
because the kind of questions that come up even help you to evaluate, should we be getting engaged, or do we need more time, or maybe this isn't, you know, where we're actually going. But during that, there were topics around sex and intimacy. So through that, it kind of, because I think it's like a slippery slope, especially if you are engaged and you're almost there. Temptation is there, so it can be kind of a slippery slope.
Temptation is real.
It's real. So I think it can kind of be a slippery slope to explore those questions without a space that kind of has some confines, I would say. So for us doing it during premarital counselling, there were like questions that really made you think, like we basically it gave you an opportunity to kind of discuss like things that you were comfortable with, things that you may be uncomfortable with,
and just learned behavior as well, because you know we've been in relationships prior to this as well, and so I think there's a part of you that tries to relate this experience to what you previously had, and so it's kind of shifting that dynamic and almost like creating a blank canvas to get to know this person afresh without projecting anything that you've had in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think kind of crossing the line into intimacy within marriage, obviously the big thing that changed were two things. One, we moved in together, so we didn't live together before we got married. And then
yes, don't do it. If you're Christian, stay in your mother's house.
It's what we believe, okay? So yeah, there was the added dynamic of like living together, so you're with that person for a lot more of the time, and then also throwing in sex to the mix, which is the big thing that people want to know about in terms of interabled relationships.
Like everyone's going like this right now, edge of their seat.
But the first question, we did address this in another video. Yes, it is possible.
Very possible.
Very possible and very enjoyable. But I think, kind of to dive into it a little bit, I think the big thing for me is just communication, but treating the person as a new experience. And I think whether you're in an interabled relationship or not, that's so important. Like, the person that you're with is a new person, right? And I think it is like having that willingness to kind of explore with that person, having that willingness to listen to what the other person needs. We really believe that like sex is a part of being able to serve each other within marriage, because there's needs that I can only fulfill as a wife, and there's needs that he can only fulfill as a husband. So I think kind of having that attitude has really helped us in terms of intimacy, because then you're able to ask, like, okay, what is it that you actually need, without judging the other person and treating them as a new experience. And yeah, just like being willing to explore, what does this person like, what can the person do, what can't they do. And
I think also just giving yourself, to build on that, just giving yourself permission to learn the person.
Definitely.
So I remember like I found it a little bit amusing at the time, but during our pre-marital, you're laughing already.
Every time. Okay.
You don't even know what I'm about to say.
Right.
But during premarital, like our pastor said, on this topic of sex and kind of, becoming good at sex, he said there was a survey that said, I think it's only when you reach about 62 years old that people reach like the peak sexual performance. And I found that hilarious, because we tend to think of older people as as people who are not that interested in sex by that age. But actually that's when you're having the best sex, that's when you're having the best intimacy. So for me, that was just a reminder just to kind of give myself permission to learn it. I don't need to be the expert right now. I've got, hopefully we've got many, many decades together to figure it out. And then, just allowing yourself to learn that dynamic as well. Because if you even like kind of shift it away from romantic relationships and with your friendships, for example, like, I'm the same Winston, you're the same Mayfair. Yeah. But, different friends of mine bring out a slightly different side of me. That's so it's the same with, with this relationship. It's allowing you to figure out what this version of, Mayfair and Winston looks like. Yeah,
that's a really, really great point. The advice that I'd give to anyone, because those are the questions that I was asking, like, before we kind of entered into like this relationship, was like, what is that gonna look like? The biggest piece of advice I would give you is, firstly, it's not wrong to actually desire sex within marriage and to think about it. It's not the only or the most important thing within marriage, but it is an important thing. So don't feel bad about asking those questions or being curious about them. But the thing that I would say, piece of advice I would give to myself if I was kind of going back, would be have healthy conversations about it. Like, ask questions and be open to the fact that if this is the person that God has for you, sex is something that he designed. I really believe like he's thought about that too. It's just being willing to be curious, ask those questions, and be open. Ask God to guide you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just thinking practically maybe about boundaries, because I think boundaries helped us a lot. Like we said, we didn't really live together before we got married. So I think that would be another practical tip. In terms of, if you have got like a certain belief, you're a Christian, and you've got certain morals that you want to live up to, or certain standards that you want to work towards, then just put in practical things to help you with that. So I think a big part of us getting to know each other kind of happened long distance. And not because like you were in one country and I was in another. It's just that you were in your parents' house and I was in my house, right? And so, for us that was important, because we're human at the end of the day. So we get tempted, in the same way as everyone does. Those practical boundaries really helped us to just to kind of stick to our own values and honor God in the way that we wanted to.
Definitely. So yeah, we hope that was useful for you guys. We'll definitely be touching more on this topic, while still bearing in mind the fact that marriage is sacred, sex within marriage is sacred, so we want to honor that first, and then secondly create a channel that's actually useful and informative for you guys. So thanks so much for tuning in, and see you next time.